York's only local show is back on its new home on York's only local station.
Guess who's back again.
This is the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
I'm back.
Now, broadcasting live from WOYK's downtown York studios inside Wellspan Park, here's Gary Sutton.
And a good Wednesday morning to you. I am Gary Sutton, and welcome to the Gary Sutton Show right here on, not today, by the way, 98.9 FM, WOYK, and 1350 AM. I say not today because our FM isn't working this morning. There's a thing that went down, and they're going to have it fixed by this afternoon. But right now, if you're trying to listen on FM, well, you're not hearing anything because you can't hear me. But if you're listening on AM, 1350 AM, WOYK, you can hear us fine. If you want to listen to us at 989 WOYK, you can listen that way. You can go to our new app if you'd like. You can give us a call up and listen through the phone. No, we're kidding on that one. You can text the show at 833-478-4729.
Yes, it's a frequency modulation versus amplitude modulation.
Yeah, just like he said.
Amplitude modulation goes up and down.
Right.
And that's why at night, you might hear what they call skipping. So you might hear stations that are far away.
Right.
You might hear a lot of static as well. But with frequency modulation, see, it goes along the lay of the land, so to speak. That's why you can hear it in a tunnel. And but we don't have frequency modulation.
No, we do not. We don't have FM today, frequency modulation.
Tried kicking it. That didn't work.
No, not going to work right now because it's not working. They'll have it this afternoon for you a little bit later on. They're working on it feverishly right now as we speak. So anyway, great to have you in this morning. By the way, I don't have a question yet for today. So if you have a good question for me for our Facebook page, why don't you text it to me, 833-478-4729. Just text me a question. I'm interested in what question would you have today? That's the big question. Ryan Lewis, who's going to be in here for Mark tomorrow because he is running off to the Ryder Cup.
Yeah, don't feel too jealous.
Yeah, right.
Just check the weather forecast.
I know. Yeah.
You imagine going to like this. It's not a once in a lifetime event, but
for you, it's the first time.
Yeah, I've never been to and this isn't just any tournament.
No, this is the Ryder Cup.
Yes, this is a step above.
All eyes on golf this weekend.
It's going to be, so what they've done is the weather is expected to be so bad tomorrow.
Yes.
And I had just learned this recently with, if there's a thunderstorm,
right,
you have to clear the course.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, and that includes people who are there paying to see it, like
a lot
me.
of money.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and I guess the thunderstorms are in the forecast for tomorrow. So they moved some of this stuff to today, this afternoon. So we're going to leave a little early and catch, I think it's the opening ceremonies.
Yeah.
They moved to this afternoon.
I have been to a President's Cup, the first President's Cup opening ceremonies, and that was fun. And I was standing right there and got to shake hands with some of the people. But, I had a VIP pass for that one. But I've never been to a Ryder Cup, so I am envious today. I'm
looking forward to it a little bit, but, trogging around in rain-soaked
mud.
Yes, I'm not looking forward to that.
Right.
We tried to prepare as much as possible, but, if there is lightning, we might be out of luck. So
Yeah. So, good luck with that.
Thank you.
Good luck with that. Be safe. And, of course, Ryan Lewis will be sitting in.
Yes.
Star-studded lineup here tomorrow on the producers board, so we got that going for us, Anyway, so if you have a question for me today, I don't have a question this morning for Facebook. Now, I know you say, Gary, you're unprepared. No, I'm not. I just couldn't think of one. I had writer's block on that this morning. So just text me one, 833-478-4729, and stop your complaining. Okay, we just want you to do that. And
how about, what are you watching? What are you binge watching?
Yeah, what are you binge watching these days? Well,
because I'm looking for new shows too. So.
Well, Blood of My Blood has been. I've been watching that.
What is that?
That's the prequel to Outlander. That's like what came before Outlander when they went through the stones and all that stuff.
So that is a fantasy thing where there's time travel?
Yeah, it is. They go through these stones that are in Scotland somewhere, and they got other groups around the world, and yeah. So
Did you say stones?
You'd be proud of. Oh no. You'd be proud of me in that I normally am not a science fiction guy. I'm not a
right.
But this is one where it made some sense to me.
You've been hornswoggled.
I have been, yeah. Yes, I have been hornswoggled. Yes, we have not ever used the word hornswoggle before 6:30.
Well, we were talking, Ryan and I were talking this morning about shows that come on, and when I was younger, just I don't like it. That's the end of it. But as I've gotten older, I want to give the show a little bit of a chance. So I did that with I think it's called. Is it The Paper or just Paper?
I thought it was The Paper,
and it's a follow-up, if you will, or to The Office. So you expect to see some of the same characters. It's shot in the same way. And I watched the first episode. I was not impressed, but I'm going to give it another chance. I did the same thing with Game of Thrones, if you can believe it. You know how much I love Game of Thrones. It had, speaking of fantasy, because you're talking about you're not a fantasy show guy. Well, I wasn't either. I mean, when at the end of the first episode of Game of Thrones, a White Walker comes out. Now, at the end of the show, 8 years later, how important that is. But at the time, I'm like, what the heck is this?
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait a second, I'm not watching a fantasy show. And I did watch a couple more episodes.
All of that. Today is National Horchata Day. I have no idea what horchata is until I asked this morning, and I looked it up. And
what does it say?
It's kind of like a white hot chocolate, cold. Yes. It's cold.
Well, it's there are several different versions.
Right.
The Mexican version, though, is ground rice, milk, and cinnamon. So it's almost like
it's not bad.
A drinkable rice pudding.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. So that's one thing today. 37 days till Halloween. So that's it. Or if you're in New York City, it's Wednesday. So there you go, because people get dressed. But what other days do we have today? Well, pray tell, Mark.
Well, it is Kiss Day.
Oh,
I don't think it's the rock band.
No,
but Kiss Day. So maybe ask first.
Oh, I started the day with that today. I've had three or four in the bank already.
Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes, Mike.
It is also maybe related National Bluebird of Happiness Day.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
And a kiss would the Bluebird of Happiness, isn't that was that Snow White?
Yeah.
As she's singing, and then the bluebird is
lifting the veil up and all that kind of stuff. Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. The heck with that. Yeah.
It's National Punctuation Day.
Yeah, who's using that anymore? Especially, I saw this morning the death of the semicolon. Has anyone used a semicolon recently at all for anything? A semicolon is like the penny of words. They're getting rid of it. I mean, it's just getting run out of town on a rail. Seriously, does anybody use a semicolon anymore?
The only, what I use? This is the one piece, and Deb she doesn't hate it, but as a matter of fact, she's using it now too.
Yeah, okay.
She's using it now too. Because what's the primary way we write? It's texting, right? Maybe an email.
And we make up our own language, by the way.
Even emails, I do this too. It's the ellipsis.
Yeah.
It's, hey, Joe, ... I'll see you after 3:00 today, ... Don't forget the golf balls.
Yeah. Okay. ... Yeah, and it's, yeah. ...
That's the only one I use.
Yeah, please. Okay.
Main one I use.
Not bad. All right.
No? And there's one other holiday.
What other big holiday?
This one, it's kind of exclusive, hoity-toity. It is National Cherries Jubilee Day.
I saw that.
And I will tell you.
That is one rich dessert.
It is. And if you have it done, when it's done right, it's kind of amazing.
Yeah, it is what it is. I mean, it's just one of those great moments.
Yes.
I almost said something I shouldn't have said, but
Put a little on ice cream.
Oh yeah, I know. It just dripping down the sides. With
like Bananas Foster.
And then
only
you bite
cherries.
into it, and you got a pit in the cherry, and it ruins the whole thing.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, of course, if you have Cherries Jubilee, with any kind of class making it, you would never, ever have a pit in the cherry. Ever.
How are you going to, you think artificial intelligence will make that a thing of the past?
I don't know. Speaking of which, I saw artificial intelligence they're going to have in Major League Baseball in 2026.
What are they doing?
Artificial intelligence as umpires. Okay.
What? I haven't heard this.
They have some of that now, but they're actually real people. No, I'm sorry. That was bad. Right. I just slapped myself. But yes, I saw the story this morning somewhere about that. I have to go back here because I'd have to fight it the whole way through to find where that is. But yeah, they were talking about the idea that they're going to have artificial intelligence would be the, here it is, robot umpires. Okay, you're out. Don't argue with me. I've had it. Anyway, robot umpires are getting called up to the big leagues next season. Major League Baseball's 11-man competition committee on Tuesday approved use of the automated ball/strike system in the major leagues in 2026. Human plate umpires will still call balls and strikes, but teams can challenge 2 calls per game and get additional appeals at extra innings. Challenges must be made by a pitcher, catcher, or batter. Signaled by tapping their helmet or cap. Those that can't say, hey, right. I'm challenging. You tap the hat. And a team retain its challenge if successful. Reviews will be shown as digital graphics on outfield scoreboards, video boards. Yeah.
Robot ump.
Yeah. New York Yankees outfielder Austin Slater, one of the 4 players on the competition committee, said 3 voted in favor after getting support from 22 of the 30 teams. All 6 management reps voted in favor. I think with any sort of the technology, there's not 100% certainty of the accurateness of the system, Slater said. I think the same can be said of umpires. So I think it's just coming to grips with the impact that technology is going to have and whether or not we were willing to live with that error that was associated with the system, even if the error is very, very minuscule. Big league umpires call roughly 94% of pitches correctly according to ump scorecards.
So is AI going to improve that? Is that what they're hoping? Or?
I think what they're doing is, they're tipping their toes in the water here by saying, okay, you got to challenge. You can challenge every now and then. And if you win the challenge, you get to retain your challenge. So that's kind of neat. But we'll see what happens. Adding the robot umpires is likely to cut down on ejections. MLB said 61.5% of ejections among players, managers, and coaches last year related to balls and strikes, as were 60.3% this season through Sunday. So the ejections are almost always, 2/3 of the time about balls and strikes. So there you go.
But, it's not supposed to be perfect, is it?
Well, that's the fun part about it. What will we talk about the following morning if it was? Another, non-interesting game last night. You don't hear of anybody punching a robot out. I mean, you just are getting up underneath there, kicking dust on a robot. One of the greatest things I ever saw here a few years back when the Revs were, the minor leagues always experimented with stuff before the major leagues ever got them. Well, they had the balls and strikes being called by, artificial intelligence upstairs here at Wellspan Park. And I was here the first night they did it, and it was great. I'm always in favor of a little chaos. I'll tell you this story when we come back. I'm going to tease you a little bit because this is a really neat story, by the way.
And since you mentioned the Revs, we've got highlights from last night's game.
Oh, yeah, said Randy Savage. Anyway, we'll be right back here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
Wind, the 1-2. And a swing and a drive. Line shot to right and gone. Kyle Martin with a rocket. And the Revs are on the board here in the fourth inning. It's 3-1. Bell, the wind-up pitch. Swing and a drive in left field. This will send Amaral back onto the track. At the wall it is. Hang on. He crashes. Rev side celebrating. It's gone. Chris Williams with a home run. Onto the hill in left field. And it's 3-2 here in the fifth inning. The 1-1. Swinging a ground ball up the middle. It's a base hit. Base hit center field. Arocho scores. Here comes Martin. He scores. And Shane Fontana with a 2-run single up the middle. Revs lead it 6-3 here in the eighth. Cam will go full wind up. The pitch. He swings, grounds it. Second base. Miller there. He's got it. Throws to first. It's over. The York Revolution win it. They have swept the Stormers in 3. 6-3 the final in game 3. And another late game comeback win. It's on to the final for the 5th time in franchise history.
The game got started late because of rain last night, and I went to bed. It was about third inning. They were down 2-0. I said, we got this one. You know, we're down 2-0 like we have in every other game so far, 2-0, 3-0, 2-0. And again, the Revs come back late innings. You know, if you're Lancaster, you finish the season shell-shocked.
Yeah.
Because you had every single one of those games in a pretty good place, and every single one of those games got beat. And so the Revs now get ready for the weekend series against either High Point or Gastonia, who have yet to decide who's going to be a champion in that division, the South Division. And that will start at home this weekend. And we'll give you a few more particulars on that later on in the day and tomorrow as well. But the Revs move on into the championship series, 5th time in franchise history. And, of course, being the defending champions, they now have DC behind their names, defending champion, and looking forward to seeing what they can do with one of the two teams from North Carolina. I was telling you about the whole thing with robotic umpires before the break. And I was here the first night that they did the robotic umpires. And I was watching what happened, because what would happen is they would, throw the pitch, and then there would just be a momentary pause, and then the umpire would make the call. And like, I guess the AI, the robot, whatever form it was in, would give him the call, and then he'd make the call. Well, long around the 3rd or 4th inning, a guy doesn't like the call. So he turns around and he starts arguing with the umpire. And I'm sitting there going, oh, this is great. This is chaotic. I like this. And he's arguing with him, and he gets mad and keeps on going, and the umpire tosses him as if to say, I'm not calling these things. I'm just the relayer of the message. Come on.
Maybe it was just force of habit.
It was, but it was so good. And I thought, this guy is the dumbest guy that has ever played baseball. I mean, without a doubt, there's nobody dumber than this guy is. You're arguing with the robot, so that's a nice thing now, is I can have more moments of sitting back and watching chaos.
So they're going to have, batting practice is going to have to include, a beat after the pitch comes in and the call comes in.
Right.
If you disagree with it, you have to think for a second.
That's exactly right.
What are you going to do?
I'm arguing with a machine.
Yeah. So is there a way to protest without, getting thrown out, or at least is there a way to not challenge it, but you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, rub your nose, or some sort of international sign of something.
Yeah. But not stupidity, okay? Because, you just have to. But it was just too good. I mean, I loved it. Jimmy Kimmel came back last night, but 66 stations did not air him on ABC. They're going through a merger, and a lot of people are saying, well, the reason they don't want to have the government messing them up on this merger, so they're not airing Jimmy Kimmel's return. I think it's around 66 stations on ABC.
Is that the Next Star and the company they want to buy? So it's those two.
Exactly. So, a lot of people are saying, well, that, you don't want to mess around with the government on that. But anyway, Jimmy Kimmel, the monologue last night, he did. People say he didn't apologize. He didn't as such, okay? But he addressed the suspension during his 18-minute monologue. The Emmy-winning comedian, teared up while recounting the support he received, echoing sentiments about the necessity for free speech. He said, quote, "This show is not important." Kimmel said at one point, "What is important is that we get to live in a country that allows us to have a show like this," quote unquote. Visibly emotional, he also addressed the comments about Kirk, the conservative podcaster's politics, and the Republican Party that prompted outrage. Quote, "It was never my intention to make light of the murder of a young man," unquote, he said teary-eyed. Also, nor was it my intention to blame any specific group for the actions of what was obviously a deeply disturbed individual. That sounds like an apology, okay? Call it what you will. He didn't say, "Hey, I'm sorry," but that sounded like an apology. And then he said, "As I was saying before I was interrupted, if you're just joining us, we are preempting a regularly scheduled encore episode of Celebrity Family Feud to bring you this special report. I'm happy to be here tonight." That's how he started the show. It was kind of fun. But he also said that what President Trump and the FCC were doing, he felt was wrong. And there it was. But he also thanked all his friends who had stood by him, Jon Stewart, Seth Meyers, Jimmy Fallon, John Oliver, Conan O'Brien, James Corden, Arsenio, Kathy, Wanda, Chelsea, and even Jay Leno reached out. He said, "I heard from late-night hosts in other countries, from Ireland and from Germany. The guy in Germany offered me a job. Can you imagine? This country has become so authoritarian. The Germans are like, come here, cut loose." So that was part of his act last night. He said, "My boyhood idols, Howard Stern and David Letterman, were very considerate and kind. I feel honored to be part of a group of people that knows what goes into doing a show like this." So some of the things that he said last night, and again, people still have their opinions on him, pro or con, but he is back from Disney and ABC standpoint, especially from Disney, but some of the ABC affiliates still preempting him at this particular point in time. So there you go on that. Let's see what else we have going on here. Oh, the Great Revolution Against Alzheimer's. It's the first time in history, and I was reading this morning, we've managed to slow the disease. A scientific review examines advances in the field and addresses the controversy surrounding new drugs questioned due to their price and modest efficacy. The fight against Alzheimer's has entered a new era. The emergence of new drugs that slightly slowed its progression, along with the discovery of biomarkers that paved the way for early detection, has renewed hope for tackling a condition that affects 50 million people worldwide. So, interesting thing there this morning, too, that there's some things being done on Alzheimer's now that are really starting to make some progress, and we'll keep our eyes on that as well. When we come back, we're going to check in with Michael Geer, president of the Pennsylvania Family Institute, on, the idea of a Jimmy Kimmel, free speech, what's that's all about, and get into some of that this morning, all here on the Gary Sutton Show. Michael, of course, the president of the Pennsylvania Family Institute. You can find him at pafamily.org. We'll also touch on some of the things that he's been working on with his group affecting the family here in the state of Pennsylvania, all here on the Gary Sutton Show. What else do we have out ahead, Mark?
Well, remember we mentioned, what was it, Baywatch? Remember I played
I do remember.
Well, there's news about Baywatch?
Really?
Yeah. And to balance that out, also Netflix and Hallmark joining forces.
Oh, my gosh. Get the Kleenex.
It's really.
All here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK 630. Back with more after this. And Michael Geer right around the corner. Welcome back to the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. It is 6:34 here on a Wednesday morning. And if you're not getting this on FM, you don't know that because you're not hearing anything right now. But get over on the AM, okay? 1350 WOYK AM. You can also check us out at 989 WOYK on your smart device, 989WOYK.com. And that way you can hear us there as well. So anyway, great to be with you here on the Gary Sutton Show. We welcome you this morning Michael Geer, president of the Pennsylvania Family Institute. And he is a guy you can find at pafamily.org. All kinds of things going on there constantly. But Michael's here this morning. And good morning, Michael. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Well, I want to talk a little bit, I guess, first of all, about the March for Life and how all that went. Talk a little bit about that. And it was, the fifth annual one, right?
Yeah, it was. It took place on Monday. We had an audience, a crowd is not the right word, a crowd of about 5,000 or 6,000. Don't know the exact number, but it was as large as any of the past years. Quite an exciting day. Wonderful speakers, including the MC and keynote speaker was a man named Ryan Baumberger, who himself, he runs an organization called the Radiance Foundation. He grew up in Lancaster County, was adopted by a family in Lancaster County, one of 10 adopted kids by the Baumberger family. Ryan's mother was raped and chose to, rather than seeing him killed through abortion, decided to give him life. And
wow.
So he was born and raised by this family in Lancaster County. So his testimony is amazing about the value of every life. And then he talked about his own family, his own daughters and sons, and just an amazing testimony. And it was great to go up on stage when we're talking about the issue of free speech, the ability to have a rally right at the Capitol with thousands of people coming from all over the state. There were over 75 coach buses that came to Harrisburg from all over the state, and many school buses and things, bringing kids from private Christian and Catholic schools. It was a great day, and again, just celebrating the opportunity to be a voice for the voiceless there in our state capitol.
Were you amazed that there are still so many people coming out on this when, progress has been made, Roe v. Wade, give it over to the states and all that, and one would say, okay, well, we got our job done. And I don't mean to be flippant about this at all.
No, I understand.
Sure. And that maybe, then we're really not needed up there anymore. But the fact that there were so many people, what does that say? What was the message you took away from that?
Well, number one, people need to recognize that even though Roe versus Wade was overturned, so the states have the ability to regulate abortion more fully or even prohibit it. In Pennsylvania, there are over 100 abortions that take place every day, every single day, 365 days a year. That's 100 lives being snuffed out. People think that death is the answer, that abortion is the answer. When life is really the precious thing that we should be protecting. So no, I'm not at all surprised. I expect this movement to continue to be a loud voice and to see many people turn out. And the massive turnout there was for the Charlie Kirk Memorial Service. Charlie Kirk was very outspoken about the value of every human life and the sanctity of life and respecting others. And I think what we saw at our rally and the march there in Harrisburg was exemplary of what we saw there in the Phoenix area with Charlie Kirk, because people who stand up for life want to make their voice known and use the opportunities that exist in this country to vote, to engage, to pray, and to speak publicly about their values. And so I was excited to see that turnout. And the security was great. We commend the Capitol Police, the Harrisburg Police, the State Police, all of those who were helping keep the audience and the crowd that was there at the rally and at the march safe.
I don't look at this often, but I was reading some articles the other day about the march before it happened, and all the articles that I read at that moment said anti-abortion march in Harrisburg.
Yeah.
And I said, anti-abortion march? Oh, that must be Michael's march. That's the pro-life march. But I thought to myself, it's pro-life, and the fact that the newspapers covered it as anti-abortion, I thought spoke volumes to me at that particular moment. Your thought?
No, I think you're right, and even Penn Live, which is one of the Harrisburg Patriot News, called Penn Live, is their online source. Had a video that they posted about the march, but they actually just took a video of the aftermath of the march, when there was a sparse group of people just standing on the steps.
Right.
People who go and look and see the thousands of people. It is the largest rally that takes place at the Capitol by far every year. I remember the first year Kim Ward, the now Senate President, she said, "I've never seen a crowd this large in Harrisburg." So, we're not surprised that it gets cast that way. But even notable was one of the speakers was a doctor, an emergency room physician from here in the Harrisburg area, who talked about a little baby that they adopted. That mom came in needing treatment in the emergency room and had really felt no future for this child and everything. So we celebrate life. That's why it's called the March for Life, because every life is precious. That murderer who took Charlie Kirk's life thinks that, again, death is an answer. People think that, I don't know what to do. I don't have enough money. I don't have whatever their decision-making process, to think that death is the answer is just not something. Life is what we should embrace and celebrate.
We talk about Charlie Kirk. You mentioned a little bit earlier about free speech. Here was an example of demonstrating free speech. Charlie Kirk has, and I've read different things. People have called him a martyr. People are saying that he has spawned a brand new kind of crusade potentially around the world. His death, certainly the other day, like someone said, like 200,000 people showed up in Scottsdale for this particular memorial, and people who even couldn't get inside were outside. There was another stadium. I mean, it was unbelievable. But the bottom line is, you're hearing about people who want to start Turning Point USA branches on campus now and so forth. What's your take from what has happened out of that? Of course, his widow says she's the new head of Turning Point, and a whole lot of people said, we'll join in and complete the tour that he had, and we want to push this out there around the world. We're seeing, crowds of people in other places like England and other countries now who heard Charlie Kirk. I mean, what the effect this guy had on people is far greater than I think anybody thought about during his lifetime. Your thoughts on that?
I had no idea that it was to the extent that it is, and in the aftermath of his death, again, lots of people who may have either never heard of him or had the caricature of him that was presented by his opponents and those who don't like the ideas that he promoted, like the sanctity of life, like faith in Christ, all of the things that he talked about conservative government, those values. People who weren't aware of it suddenly went back and thought, well, wait a minute, his videos are all over the internet, whether it's TikTok or other places, and they could see how he conducted himself, how he spoke about these things. There's never been a touch of scandal talked about in his life, and the things that he talked about, he lived out, and his wife is now living out with the forgiveness even that she gave towards, that she expressed towards his killer. So I think in the aftermath of it, I think that it has sparked something, and as a number of the people in the memorial service talked, I don't remember the exact quote from someone in the past that talked about when you, when you kill a tyrant, their power basically dies. When you kill a martyr, their cause expands and grows even more. They said it much more eloquently than that, but that is, I think, what we're witnessing here.
When we look at free speech in this country, did this event and other events associated with it, and of course President Trump right now, are we seeing the expanse between opinions widen? Are we seeing the polar edges get further apart? Or is it healthy right now that we're debating things or at least arguing things? Or are we arguing in the right way? I'm throwing about 15 questions at you all at once, Michael. I don't mean to, but as I'm just kind of thinking about this, it seems like a lot of things going on right now that maybe are a little cloudy. It need to be cleared up over the next, not just months, but years. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I think the killing of Charlie Kirk sort of made very clear with some folks who were celebrating and people that you'd be completely surprised. You see moms on TikTok or on Instagram or whatever celebrating it, doing dances, all those kinds of things. You think, wow, society is actually celebrating this. I mean, we went through, the 9/11 back in 2001. We went through the Kennedy assassinations and those sorts of things, and saw the country come together, at least in some measure, just to simply say, this is terrible, this is wrong, and innocent life should not be shed, and to see people celebrating it. So we saw that, but then we also saw, as you mentioned, Erica Kirk and forgiving her husband's killer.
Right.
And what we saw there, I think there is kind of both things going on, an exposing of a great polarization, but also a lot of people who are looking inside and doing an evaluation and saying, hey, wait a minute, is this the way I want to live? Am I going to make somebody my enemy just because they think differently or they speak different values than I do? How about a conversation the way Charlie Kirk did as he sat in those tents in different places to talk with those who opposed him? He invited them to a conversation.
Yeah, I was really impressed. I did not know a lot about Charlie Kirk other than who he was, and I knew some of the things, and I knew he said some pretty outrageous things at times, too, in terms of getting people thinking. But I also watched a couple of the videos, and one of them was about his religion. And he basically was sitting there in the chair like he always did, and people would grab a microphone, and they would challenge him or ask him a question or whatever. And he never seemed to really get mad about it. But this guy asked, he said, I'm an atheist. He said, you're obviously talking about Christianity. I'm an atheist. I don't believe in God. And Charlie Kirk looks at me. He says, well, okay, and I'm paraphrasing again, but he said, what about the 10 Commandments? He said, let's just take that for a moment. He said, now, let's go down through some of that. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not commit adultery. I said, do those seem like pretty good ideas that maybe we could kind of galvanize around here and kind of agree they're pretty good for society? The guy goes, well, yeah. He said, well, maybe we're not as far apart as you think. And you know, so it was that kind of conversation where you pose and try to find some common ground as well. And people say, well, he was divisive, but he was also, I think, he evoked a certain amount of thinking. And I think that's what we are trying to do in society with better conversation. And I know that's one of the things we're trying to do here, to get people to think a little bit about what they think and why they think it, and be able to do so in a way where you can still respect another person's opinion, walk away and come back tomorrow and talk more about it. Final thoughts.
Yes. No, I think you're right, and that is the way we should be engaging. You know, at Pennsylvania Family Institute, we've used the phrase for the way we try to act when we're lobbying or talking to the public, which is what we call principled persuasion. Yes. Let's find some common ground where we can agree and then talk about the specific issues and maybe make some progress in one direction or the other. That's the way we try to operate, and that's the right way to operate, and that's how we advance the good of all the people in the community.
I know very quickly, I wanted to mention also, you got Ron DeSantis coming up October 11th, Saturday, October 11th at the Hershey Lodge, a Friends of Family banquet. And people have a chance to get out there and hear Governor DeSantis speak. That's going to be 6:30 on October 11th at the Hershey Lodge. Final thoughts on that this morning, Michael?
Yeah, tickets are still available, and they can go to our website, pafamily.org/banquet, is to get more information about that.
And that is right up there, pafamily.org/banquet. Check it out. Great evening. I've been to a bunch of these, and I'll tell you what, they are fantastic. So, Michael, thank you so much for taking time this morning to talk about the issues of the day. Really appreciate it, my friend.
Thank you, Gary. Take
care now. Michael Gear, president of the Pennsylvania Family Institute. Find him at pafamily.org. And if you want to go to that banquet, go to pafamily.org/banquet, and you can find out all about it. We'll take a break. We'll come back with more. Mark, what do you have coming up around the corner?
Well, you remember we mentioned Baywatch, was it yesterday or within the last
just
week?
Recently, yes.
There is actually Baywatch news.
What?
What? What are they doing?
What hath thou wrought? We'll find out when we come back here on the Gary Sutton Show. It is 6:47. actually remember this. The Munsters.
Fred Gwynn, Yvonne DiCarlo.
Yep. Fred Gwynn, of course, who played the judge in My Cousin Vinny.
Al Lewis.
Yeah, Al Lewis, he and Fred Gwynn were both on an original series called Car 54, Where Are You? It's back in the early 60s. And then Pat Priest, who was the only normal one in the whole family. That was it.
Butch Patrick.
Yeah, Butch Patrick, who was like the little werewolf type kid.
It was on this date. The year was 1965, and the ridiculousness, just kept expanding on TV. Actually, 1964, I'm sorry, 61 years ago, Munsters premiered on CBS.
Yeah. Was that also when Batman came out and all that?
Batman was 66.
Okay.
But that was, let me see, 64 would have been, what is the, Gilligan's Island, I Dream of Jeannie, a lot of kind of fantasy type shows where, and monsters were big, if you remember.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the troll doll and building like the creature from the Black Lagoon model.
Yeah, the monsters had it going on at that particular point in time.
That and Spies.
Good year for monsters and good year for spies. That's correct.
No doubt.
Let's see. The president yesterday addressed the UN. One could say he was not timid. Okay. He acted as a metaphor for the UN. I was reading this morning this story out of the Washington Examiner. It says, acting as a metaphor for the UN as a whole, President Trump complained that he was met with a broken escalator and a malfunctioning teleprompter before tearing apart the organization itself over the course of an hour. He compared the failures of the UN with his own domestic accomplishments, including immigration and the economy and his foreign policy achievements. The 6 years have passed, he said, since I last stood in this grand hall and addressed a world that was prosperous and at peace in my first term. Trump told the UN's annual Leaders Summit on Tuesday, quote, since that day, the guns of war have shattered the peace I forged on two continents, he said, referencing the Russia-Ukraine and Israel-Hamas conflicts. To that end, Trump asked the crowd what the purpose of the UN is, contending that it, quote, has such tremendous potential, unquote, but that it's not even coming close to living up to that potential right now. For the most part, at least for now, all they seem to do is write a strongly worded letter and never follow that letter up, he said. It's empty words, and empty words do not solve war. The only thing that solves war is action, said the president. Trump escalated his criticism, claiming that not only did he not receive a phone call from the UN as he tried to negotiate peace deals, but that the organization, quote, is actually creating new problems, unquote, particularly regarding immigration. All I got for the UN was an escalator that on the way up stopped right in the middle and a teleprompter that didn't work, he said. The best example is the number one political issue of our time, the crisis of uncontrolled migration. Your countries are being ruined. The UN is funding an assault on Western culture, said the president. And then he said, also said, everyone says I should get the Nobel Peace Prize, acknowledge the foreign policy challenges posed for the likes of Israel, Gaza, Russia, and Ukraine, in addition to Iran and Venezuela. At the same time, he underscored a new dynamic between the United States, Europe, and China. So the president yesterday was out there and pretty much let him have it and let him know what he thought. And, there you go. Go ahead, Mark.
Moving on. Baywatch is back in the news.
Fox is bringing back Baywatch with a new series set to premiere in the 26-27 season. The 12-episode reboot will revive the iconic lifeguard drama that originally starred David Hasselhoff and Pamela Anderson. It ran for 11 seasons in the 90s. Fox says the new show will feature all the adrenaline-fueled rescues, tangled relationships, complicated chemistry, and beachfront heroics that made the original a global sensation, but with a fresh cast and modern storylines. Baywatch premiered in 1989 and became one of the most watched series in the world. Later, inspiring spin-offs, a 2017 movie, and a Hulu docuseries. Michelle Polino, Fox News.
They just rehash the old stuff.
They really do. If you missed it earlier, by the way, Jimmy Kimmel was back on last night with the Jimmy Kimmel Show. He delivered what might have been the most anticipated monologue in late night history last night, and he pretty much, I don't know if you'd say he nailed it or not, but he thanked everyone who supported him during his suspension, including conservatives like Ted Cruz, who spoke out in support of free speech. He also got emotional when he said he never intended to, quote, make light of the murder of a young man, unquote. He also said he understood why some people thought his remarks were, quote, either ill-timed or unclear or maybe both. His voice also cracked when he praised Erica Kirk, Charlie Kirk's wife, for giving Charlie's murderer, quote, or for forgiving Charlie's murder. Quote, that is an example we should all follow. If you believe in the teachings of Jesus as I do, there it was, unquote. Jimmy also took aim at President Trump and the FCC for trying to silence him, quote, that's not legal, that's not American, that's un-American, and it's so dangerous, unquote. He added, quote, President Trump did his best to cancel me. Instead, he forced millions of people to watch the show. That backfired bigly. He might have to release the Epstein files to distract us from this, unquote. Ironically, while Kimmel was delivering his monologue, President Trump was on social media threatening more censorship. He said Jimmy puts ABC in jeopardy by, quote, playing 99% positive Democrat garbage, and added, quote, I think we're going to test ABC out of this. Let's see how we do. Last time I went after them, they gave me $16 million. This one sounds even more lucrative. So that was the president regarding what Jimmy Kimmel was saying on the air last night when he came back. There were over 60 stations, ABC stations, that did not air him last night. So it was not universal, but Disney gave the stamp of approval to put him back on and said they would no longer preempt him.
I think we might have time for this.
Go ahead.
Hallmark and Netflix have a deal.
Hallmark Media and Netflix have signed a new expanded output deal that will bring more content to streaming audiences in the U.S. and abroad. The agreement builds on last year's partnership, which put 10 Hallmark Christmas movies on Netflix. Now, the deal will add the first 2 seasons of Hallmark's series The Way Home to the streamer next month, with season 3 arriving in February of next year and season 4 later that year after its linear and Hallmark Plus run. It also covers new holiday content worldwide and Valentine's Day titles coming to Netflix in January.
How exciting.
I just thought of a plot for a Netflix for the Hallmark thing.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, 2 people meet. They've never met before. They sit down over a bunch of cookies. They then have an argument. The 2 of them walk away. And then they get back together again, and they live happily ever after. You think that might cut it? I don't know.
I saw that.
I'm just throwing it out there. Every Hallmark movie is exactly that. Every Christmas movie is exactly that way. But they always get together at the end, okay? Anyway, coming up next, Jeffrey Coleman joins us. He is the co-host of Morning Light and also the principal of Churchill Strategies as we talk about more about free speech in America and how can we make it better. All here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK, where it is 7 o'clock.
York's only local show is back on its new home on York's only local station.
Guess who's back? Back again.
This is the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
I'm back.
Now, broadcasting live from WOYK's downtown York studios inside Wellspan Park, here's Gary Sutton.
And welcome back to the Gary Sutton Show here on WOYK on a Wednesday morning as we get hour number 2 right here. And all brought to you by Barley Snyder Attorneys at Law. Innovative legal solutions for your business. They are a law firm for today's business world. Check them out at barley.com. Here in York, they're at 100 East Market Street. You can give them a call at 717-846-8888. They're open weekdays from 9 to 5. 29 different disciplines that they practice in. Over 130 plus attorneys in Pennsylvania and Maryland ready to help you with your business, with your individual needs. Check them out at barley.com to see just what they have to offer for you, and you will be amazed. And they are, I think, the gold standard here in Pennsylvania and in Maryland and right here in York County. All right? And let's see, this hour being brought to you by Your Medicare Solutions, Keith and Becky Rill. Man, is this the time of year you want to talk to them? 717-487-4382. They can help you with your Medicare questions that you have. And if you're like me, you got a lot of them, especially when, a lot of people just sit pat on what they had before with Medicare and think, well, that's okay. Maybe not. Okay. Your Medicare Solutions, you can find them at your-medicare.solutions.net. You can call them at 717-487-4382. Any questions regarding Medicare, they are ready to help you. You can email them, RILL, R-I-L-L, at your-medicare.solutions.net. They are independent agents for Medicare Advantage and supplement plans, and they find the answers. They're just good people. I know them very well, and I'm asking them some questions about what to do right now during this time of the year where we start to elect our Medicare plans, right, and our health plans in general. So Keith and Becky Rill, check them out today. They are the proud sponsors of this hour right here on the Gary Sutton Show. By the way, tonight I'm going to be in Hanover at 7 o'clock to receive a proclamation. Hanover Borough tonight. And we're asking all the boroughs, by the way, out and around the area to do this, to do a proclamation which would identify kindness. And kindnessworldwide.org. Of course, Kevin Smith's site. Now, Kevin's in Portugal, so I'm going to be representing him tonight and receiving the signed proclamation about kindness. Hanover, obviously, pointing that out. And I think the other parts of the county can do the same thing, including, I hope, our county commissioners will put out a proclamation on this as well. If you're listening, county commissioners, we'd love to have you do that as well. But I'll be at the Borough Administration Building tonight at 33 Frederick Street at 7 o'clock, and I'm looking forward to receiving that on behalf of Kevin and Kindness Worldwide tonight. Just looking forward to it. They're going to have a Borough Council meeting this evening, and that is on the agenda. So thank you to Dorothy Felix from the Borough Secretary who sent that out for us. Looking forward to being there tonight, and very proud to stand up for kindness anywhere we can find it, okay? So all of that going on. Well, with that having been said, let's turn right now to Jeffrey Coleman, who is the principal at Churchill Strategies, but is also the co-host of Morning Light. You can find it on Morning Light right here on Lighthouse TV, Channel 49 here in the local area. And Jeffrey with us this morning. Good morning, Jeffrey. How are you?
Good morning, Gary. Doing well, thank you.
Well, I was impressed. I saw you did the live show on Monday from the March for Life up in Harrisburg, and you and Deborah were up there and doing a great job. So,
thanks, Gary.
And I know you've been there every year. You and I have met each other a couple times over the years. But, just your impression of that. We did talk to Michael Gear this morning about it. But what was your takeaway from the March for Life on Monday?
Well, it was big, probably 2,000 or 3,000 more people, I think, than the year before. So it would really set records for one of the largest in modern times. protests or expressions of grievances in front of the state capitol. Of course, way back in the 30s and 40s, you'd get crowds of 75,000 or so, but this was a massive crowd. Also, Gary, it was very, very young. I mean, what we could see from our vantage point, the booth that we had set up, was just waves and waves and waves of young people walking towards the Capitol. And then the third, Gary, it was a joyful, worshipful, peaceful event. There were really no angry signs, nobody shouting, yelling. It was, when it comes to an issue like life, like abortion, there's a deep awareness, I think, and sensitivity to the fact that not everybody has, who has experienced or participated in that process, feels great about that decision, and it often carries a lot of weight. So I'm very, very grateful for the tone that Michael and the team set at March for Life this year.
Speaking of the tone, we're talking a lot in the last few weeks, and you and I have discussed it forever. How we speak to one another, how we converse, how we debate, how we go back and forth. And I was struck by the Charlie Kirk Memorial on Sunday.
Yeah.
Of course, his widow comes out and she forgives the shooter and talks about the kind of debate that people need to have. But talked about forgiveness, and what was juxtaposed to that, you get the president who comes up and says, and very honestly, I think, says, I'm sorry, Erica, I don't forgive my enemies. I tried to, and I'm paraphrasing, I try to take them out. What a juxtaposition it was that day. A lot of people might think it was inappropriate, but the president was saying, hey, here's another feeling that people have, and I got it. And he said, I'm sorry, Erica, but I don't forgive people. What was your take on that?
Yeah. I first of all, I think that you and I and the rest of our listeners this morning are more like President Trump than Erica Kirk in most of our honest moments. We are not naturally forgiving people. We naturally want to hold a grudge. We do not enjoy being mistreated, cut off, overcharged. We don't like the experience of the injustice of seeing someone's life taken or someone's job removed because of their beliefs or expressions. So President Trump expresses in the rawest possible way what it means to not process your decisions in your life through the lens of the gospel. So I am not, there is no judgment here. I am much more in those moments like Donald J. Trump than I am like Jesus Christ. What Erica said was a recitation, I know, of the commands of Jesus. Love your enemies, bless those that curse you, do good to those who despitefully use you, and pray for them. And I think when she was saying that, it's going to take a long time, as it does with widows of people prominent figures who are assassinated or not so prominent. It's a process of making those words become true. So I think it was so important for the country, for President Trump, not to be fake, not to be false in that moment, but to express what so many of us see and experience when it comes to forgiveness.
Well, I think the fact that he apologized to her, he said, I'm sorry, Erica, but he said, that's not, and that when she said about, I forgive him, it was like she almost had to kind of spat out, I forgive him because this is what I believe, and because I'm following that roadmap, I've got to forgive this guy because he was the kind of guy that my husband was trying to work with, and here he was shooting him. So it was interesting to hear the inflection and to watch how they said it as well as what they said.
Yeah, when you're in that moment, and I think this is what is true for every person who identifies as a Christian or a Christ follower, the majority of our moments, we are looking at words on a page, and we are reading them, and we believe them, we trust them, in God we trust, and we sing the songs, and we go to church, and we do all that. And then somebody dies, and then you get the notice in the mail, and then you get the diagnosis, and then you see somebody's life cut down tragically, and you go, okay, but where's God in this moment? I'm not quite sure. In the fog,
Right.
I can trust him. So you're looking at the instrument panel, but you're flying. You might be flying upside down, and God's answer, it seems to be in these moments, is just do the next right thing, and trust that where I take you is where you're supposed to be. But that's so impossible on our own.
And I thought you could see how hard it was for her in that moment. I really thought you could see it. And she's saying, oh, you know what? I've got one part of me that just is so mad, but I got another part that says I got to forgive. And you could see the wrestling, I thought, going on there a little bit, not to read too much into it, but, you know, you just sense that because I think all of us would have that kind of tension back and forth inside of us and the internal argument going on, I would think.
Yeah, the tension is something we want to preserve often because there's an advantage to preserving the tension.
Right.
If you're in politics, hugging your political opponent or saying, you know, I love my political opponent, but I'm running against them because we have a disagreement on some issues, that's the honest answer in most cases. We don't really hate the people that are on the other side. We might feel that we do, but we really don't. If we had dinner with them, if we went over to their house, if we were invited over for Thanksgiving, we'd have a really enjoyable experience when we hear their life story. It's the tension we keep, though, because keeping us mad keeps us motivated to knock on one more door, to raise one more dollar, to be an activist. Activism is so often propelled by anger. What Erica is saying and what I think other people are saying is release that tension, love your enemy, forgive, watch what happens. Very, very upside down, counterintuitive, otherworldly, weird. If you're listening to this, for sure.
Yeah, and it was amazing to watch. I know I'm probably pressing on thin ice here. Could I keep you for one more segment this morning? I never get close to your prep.
Yeah.
Time. Are you okay with that?
You got it.
Okay,
yep, you're fine.
I want to do that because I got a couple other things I want to talk to you about this morning regarding free speech, but also regarding the president's talk yesterday at the United Nations, and also a little bit about Jimmy Kimmel last night coming back on the air. We'll do that with Jeffrey Coleman, who is the co-host of Morning Light. He's also the principal at Churchill Strategies. He'll be back with more right after this on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
Fox Sports Update.
And the Phoenix Mercury pull off a comeback for the ages and tie up these best-of-5 semifinals.
The WNBA playoffs on ESPN. The Phoenix Mercury won an historic playoff game last night. The Minnesota Lynx had a record of 61-0 all time in games in which they led their opponent by at least 16 points at halftime. Last night, Minnesota led Phoenix 48-32 at the break. Phoenix came back to win in overtime, 89-83, to even the best-of-5 series at one game apiece. From 16 points down at half, down by as many as 20, the Mercury matched the largest comeback win in WNBA playoff history. In Las Vegas, Asia Wilson scored 25 points and grabbed 9 rebounds for the Aces, who beat the Indiana Fever 90-68 to even their series 1-1. Baseball, 2 more playoff spots were clinched Tuesday.
The Mariners are going to the playoffs.
The Yankees with 2 runs in the bottom of the 9th inning, and they clinched the postseason berth for the 60th time in their history.
The Guardians take over the Central Division lead. They beat the Detroit Tigers 5-2. The records are the same, but Cleveland's actually in first, and Detroit is in second.
On FanDuel Sports Network Ohio, the Yes Network, and Root Sports Northwest, the Tigers had been in sole possession of first place in the AL Central since April 23rd. Now the Guardians, who were 15.5 games back, July 8th, atop the division with 5 games left in the regular season. Tuesday, Tigers pitcher Tyreek Skubal lost his touch in the 6th inning after he threw a 99-mile-per-hour pitch that hit the Guardians' David Fry in the face between his nose and mouth. Fry was on the ground for several minutes. He was carted off the field and hospitalized. You can download the Fox Sports Podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you download your favorite podcasts. I'm Jared Max.
Get more on the Fox Sports app and foxsports.com.
99 miles an hour in the face. Ooh, boy, that would just, if you were the pitcher, you'd be trouble. Obviously, he was, and obviously, hurt. I hope all is well with David Fry. Anyway, welcome back to the Gary Sutton Show here at 7:22 on a Wednesday morning with Jeffrey Coleman, co-host of Morning Light. He'll be getting started there this morning, 9 o'clock. You can watch that right there on Lighthouse TV here on Channel 49. I saw Jimmy Kimmel come back on last night, and he seemed like he was kind of trying to say he was sorry on certain things as far as how he was interpreted. But he also said that, the president, the FCC, and people coming after him was not right, and that shows like his ought to be able to be on where you can express your point of view, even if it's unpopular free speech. And I was wondering, when you look at what has happened here with the death of Charlie Kirk, obviously that's had far-reaching ramifications. With Kimmel going off the air, with other people being fired because of what they said afterward, has our polar gap gotten wider right now in terms of our conversation? And if it has, what's it going to take to put it back together again here? I hear Humpty Dumpty somewhere in my mind right now. Yeah. But what's it going to take to bring it back together again where we can have a respectful dialogue, passionate conversation, passionate debate? Is that possible, or is the toothpaste out of the container?
No, I think it's very possible, and I think it always comes down to who is leading the company, the school board, the country, the workplace. It's the people that we look up to, the people we listen to. Most of us, I think, are impressionable on a whole lot of different levels. We laugh at things sometimes we shouldn't laugh at. We don't have a 24-hour-a-day perfect filter of saying the exact right thing at the right moment. So you really do look to leaders in this moment to say, is that okay? Was that all right? Should I have done that? Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm right. But we have to have some elasticity here. We've got to have grace in our conversation to immediately say, you know what, I'm sure it was a bad day. I'm sure the adrenaline you've got to inject in conversation some sense that, when somebody is speeding past us, we all, in our car with the kids, we always like, that person must be having a baby. They must be going to the emergency room. So trying to think about the best intentions, I don't think we're too far gone. We're naturally cranky and ornery people without grace, so for sure.
Well, speaking of cranky and ornery, the president at the UN yesterday basically came in and told it like it was from his perspective. He said, hey, it started out with a bad escalator and a bad teleprompter here. The escalator stopped. And he said, you guys aren't getting the job done. I hold out hope that maybe you will someday, but you're not getting the job done. You don't take it. All you do is basically write letters. And, I mean, he unloaded yesterday in no uncertain terms. What was your take? Is that something that the UN needs? I mean, have they become kind of a paper tiger or not? A lot of people, I don't think the president was expressing something a lot of people haven't said at some point in time that the UN has lost its spine, but what's your take on that?
Well, I think when you come into somebody's house, you come into somebody's environment, you can argue that the UN is on American soil, and you're in New York, so you're on the president's home turf. But I think you have to consider not just the words you give, but what are people hearing, and then what are the reverberations when you are listening to this on a shortwave radio in somewhere in the Amazon jungle. I mean, the way information and news travels is immediate and it's almost universal. So the audience, he made a decision that the audience was perhaps Congress, perhaps leaders of foreign countries, and not the people of the world who, he would want to admire or respect America. That's the decision he has to make. And I'd argue that there's still an important role that leaders play in healing and mending and righting wrongs. He made a decision to hit the button, and he knew exactly the consequences of that moment. But it's not anything new, and it's why in America we have free speech. You can change the channel on the president or Jimmy Kimmel. That's the kind of framework that we were bequeathed, and sometimes it's uncomfortable.
One of the things that I know has maybe irked the president a little bit is this idea of a two-state solution with Palestine and Israel, and a lot of the countries there at the UN kind of raising their hands the other night and saying, hey, we want that two-state solution. We still think that's possible to have a Palestinian state. And a lot of people are saying, how long have we been doing this? And how long has a Palestinian state not been able to do it? What's your take on all that?
Yeah, I don't know that a declaration of a Palestinian state at this point is what the moment requires. I know that the people like President Macron, Keir Starmer, and others in Europe feel an enormous amount of pressure because they're operating at 20-some% approval ratings in some cases, and that means the mob is outside of the palace, and they will not have any power left if they don't take some kind of action. Obviously, Europe and much of the rest of the world is looking at those images from Gaza, seeing something very different, not viewing it through the lens of, as some here in America do, of biblical prophecy or the role of Israel. So there's some realities. This is a very complicated situation, and there won't be a declaration that fixes it. In the end, this is going to come down to the Israeli government recognizing the humanity of the people who are living in Gaza, making not just a humanitarian portal or corridor, but making sure that those people who are not enemy combatants are protected along with their citizens. Yeah. They can do both.
Finally, what's coming up today on Morning Light at 9 o'clock?
Well, this morning we're talking about history. Every 10 years or so we have a debate about what should be included or not included in history, and President Trump is certainly with an executive order declaring what should or should not be in the story has created some controversy. He's made adjustments along the way, and his team has. But it does beg the question, we're on the eve of our 250th anniversary, what's the story? It's not certainly one beautiful story. It's a complex story that's got a lot of zigzags. How do we talk about the zigzags but preserve the core, which is this is an exceptional and extraordinary country, and that story can't get lost when we're trying to make sure that it's balanced. So I've got a great historian on the panel this morning, Jim LeGrand, head of the honors program at Messiah. Hopefully he'll have an answer.
I was almost shocked when you said President Trump caused some controversy with something he said. I can barely believe that. Yeah, but that is a great topic, though. You know how I feel about history. I love having been a history teacher. So looking forward to seeing that. Jeffrey, always great to have you on the show. Thank you so much for taking extra time with us this morning. Really appreciate it. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you next Wednesday morning.
Anytime, my friend. Talk soon.
Jeffrey Colvin here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. This hour being brought to you by Your Medicare Solutions. That's right. Your-Medicare-Solutions.net. You can find it on the web. RILL, R-I-L-L, at your-Medicare-Solutions.net. That's Keith and Becky Rill, and they are ready to solve your problems with Medicare. That's exactly right. Answer the questions you need answered. They are independent agents for Medicare Advantage and supplement plans, and they are ready to help you today. Ladies and gentlemen, you need to give them a call and set up an appointment, especially this time of year where you're getting ready for elections on some of those items on Medicare, and maybe you don't know all the answers. They do, and they'll be glad to find them for you. 717-487-4382. That's 717-487-4382. Tell them Gary Sutton told you to call them at RIL at Medicare-Solutions.net. That's RIL at your-Medicare-Solutions.net. Your Medicare Solutions. They are ready to help you today. Keith and Becky Rill, give them a call right now, 717-487-4382. They are the proud sponsors of this hour on the Gary Sutton Show. Coming back, Tim Barker, District Attorney of York County, talks about the events of this past week and the killing of 3 policemen here in York County. Big funeral coming up tomorrow. We'll get at that with Tim when he joins us here on the Gary Sutton Show. Welcome back. Gary Sutton Show here on WOYK. Stevie Wonder. Never a bad choice. Yeah.
Music is a world within itself.
And he goes through all the various great artists in this. Satchmo, the Duke Ellington, Louis Armstrong. Yeah. Here we go.
Just because the record has a groove, don't make it in the groove.
Also nice bassy in there too. Yeah. Anyway, welcome back to the Gary Sutton Show here on a Wednesday morning, 7:36. This hour, of course, brought to you by your-medicare-solutions.net. Keith and Becky Real are ready to answer your questions right now. It's 717-487-4382. Give them a call. Great people to use as resources right now in all the questions that come up about Medicare. And they're helping thousands throughout the county, helping to educate thousands throughout the county, and they can help you. 717-487-4382. As they're helping me, by the way, I'll be asking questions of them regarding Medicare, and they are the go-to people. But with us this morning is the District Attorney of York County, Tim Barker, who joins us here. I would say in a time of reflection here in the county, in a time of hurt, and a time of thinking about law enforcement, all of that. Good morning, Mr. DA. Great to have you in.
Yep, it's good to be with you, Gary. You just mentioned with Stevie Wonder, and like one of the things that when you talk about reflection, and this is my go-to, and I think you can tell from us talking, like I dive heavily into music, listen to so much music to try to help me process and reflect on different things. We all have our things that we turn to try to help us get through. That's always been my go-to, and there's a whole lot of people out there that are trying to find their go-to to go ahead and figure out what to do, how to get through this, and I'll be honest, I haven't figured it out yet. I mean, I'm raw. Like I'm emotionally raw, and how I feel is nothing compared to how the families and friends and of our fallen officers, the Northern Regional, the Sheriff's Department, all the law enforcement community. I mean, this is this is like an international grieving, like these guys were connected and involved beyond York County. I mean, especially like Mark Baker. I mean, he was an international expert in computer forensics. When you look at all the history for Detective Sergeant Becker, all that he did with Spring Grove. Look at all the wrestling aspects, everything coming out. Detective Emenheiser, his whole history, and you're seeing the different stories about his working out at the gym and things that he has done, all the stuff he used to do as well with traffic enforcement. I mean, that's where I first got to really work with and know him and all of his skills. And so you're looking at all these individuals with all that they've accomplished. And like I said, with Detective Baker, like the reach out that we've seen, from all over, it's the ripple effect when you lose one life of what it does to an entire expanded community. It's just terrible, and I grieve for everyone.
I was reading a story last week about Cody Becker, who was one of the famous things he did was return, I think, a interception from Chad Henne, who later on played in the pros. And but what was interesting about that was that there was a story about a family that was in a burning house. And this family, eventually came down. They could only get out one way through a window while this house was burning down. And there's Cody Becker at the back. It says, "Hey," and they had a very young infant. And he said, "Toss the infant to me." That's from the third floor to the first floor. And they said, "Oh my gosh, we're worried that," and they did. He caught not only the infant, but two of their children and the mother, who got down there, and the husband got out too eventually. And they were talking about how this guy was a hero to them. I mean, the things these people do and putting themselves out there is just incredible. And to read the story about what happened to them last week was just wrenching. Doesn't even begin to talk about it, but I guess that's the only word I'm left with here at the moment. But you look at where we're going now. Of course, we have a big funeral tomorrow It's going to be down at Living Word Church, and I know Aaron Anderson's going to be the guy in charge of operating that. But you said about it, raw. The nerves are raw right now for a lot of people in this county who are trying to process how this kind of thing could happen and where we go in the future. People are talking about gun control. People are talking about free speech. People are talking about all kinds of things right now in our community, both nationally and locally here, talking about the loss of yet 3 more people here, the 4th major one of the year now with, the officer dying in UPMC back in February. So certainly a really tough time for our county to process.
Yeah, it definitely is, and one of the things that I hope in the immediacy is a continued focus on heroism and what it means to be a hero. And we've talked about that before. And actually, my dad was a school teacher too. He taught a whole series on the definition of hero throughout the ages. And sometimes we think of heroism as big gestures, sometimes as small gestures. There's no doubt whatsoever, though, when you're looking at what law enforcement is asked to go out and do every single day, there are very few professions that you truly go ahead and say, when I walk out the door today, is this the last time I say goodbye to my family? And that's exactly what law enforcement does every single day. And that's what they did. That's what they did. And they did it to go ahead and try to stop violence. And, they saved lives. Right. They saved lives of those domestic violence victims. Right. They saved lives through their courage and through their decisions that there is a greater purpose of what there is to do. And as a people, we don't need to expect every single person to sign up to do what Baker, Becker, and Emenheiser did. We that's not the role. But what we can do, you talk a lot about kindness. Right. We've talked before about love and sacrificial love and how we express sacrificial love. Do something for another person that is truly kind, where you are not seeking the benefit from it. Show that Christly love. That makes sacrifices that people give worthwhile and truly pays forward heroism. They're heroes, and we need to continue to focus. I know that there are larger societal discussions about different things to occur. My viewpoint on a lot of those things right now is it's not the time to do that. It's just not. We've got a large further discussion to focus on how we do things with domestic violence. This at its core began with domestic violence. We are working on domestic violence initiatives, but especially this week of grieving, I've been continuously pulling back. There's stuff that you got to do for the job that you have to do, but continuously pulling back to how do we grieve and how do we celebrate lives of 3 terrific human beings, 3 people that I knew. How do we celebrate them? And 2 people that are still recovering. We have 2 wonderful people that are still recovering from their injuries. Exactly. How are we doing that? So it's extremely important for us to continue to encourage everybody to grieve together and focus on what is pure, what is true, what is light.
We're talking with Tim Barker this morning, our District Attorney of York County. I was reading this morning in the paper about they now are going to have and this was from the York County Coroner's Office, I guess an autopsy of this Matthew Ruth, the guy who was the gunman in this particular case. And I was kind of interested in that. Why an autopsy is needed. Is that just kind of part of the course of what you have to do in these situations to make sure nothing untoward was done? I mean, what is happening there?
There's a couple of reasons why. First off, in shooting death cases, having an autopsy to help out with cause and manner of death determinations is pretty much standard protocol, regardless of whether or not somebody can be prosecuted. But from a secondary aspect, I did an initial finding of fact. But one of the things that I stated at the press conference when we did the initial finding of fact is that there's further information to come. Well, one of the things that comes that I have to review then are different wound sites, wound locations, patterns of injuries, things like that as you're helping to determine ballistics, what exactly occurred where and when. And all that is through further testing. So even though there's no individual who will be prosecuted, at the same time, this is clearly something where you want to make sure that you have the facts correct and complete. And so this is part of the process to do so. So it's a twofold aspect from a coroner's perspective in a shooting death. You want to make sure that you have autopsies performed. From also our aspect, we want to have the facts so that we can give a complete and thorough recitation of the facts all the way through. I was able to give a good, complete one early on, but the further information's needed.
But this is like the official and the final word. Mr. District Attorney, I know it's a tough time here for so many people involved in this process, but I know tomorrow is going to be the funeral, and a lot of people will be there. But we appreciate, all of what those officers did, all of what you're doing, all of what our whole police and law enforcement community are doing here in the York County area, and our prayers are with all of you right now, and with the families of those who were killed, and with the families of those who were wounded as well. So thank you for taking the time this morning in kind of a difficult time to be with us. Really do appreciate it.
Sure thing, Gary. And, I just want to emphasize again what I said last week still applies. This is a great county. I love York County. And when you see the outpouring of love that has come out from so many people towards law enforcement, towards Northern Regional, the Sheriff's Department, towards the families and loved ones of our fallen officers, this is a great, great county, and we will come through this together with love in our hearts. I know that we will.
Thank you so much. Tim Barker with us this morning. Tim, take care, and I wish you the best the rest of the week.
Thanks, Gary. I appreciate it. Good talking with you.
You too. Tim Barker, District Attorney of York County, here on the Gary Sutton Show. When we come back, little lighter moment here as we check in with John of Yanni's, where I'm going to be today at 12 o'clock having lunch, and looking forward to getting out there today and spending some time. But John will tell you a little bit about what's going on with Yanni's. Always something new and interesting and exciting, all here on the Gary Sutton Show, plus other stories as well right around the corner.
Good evening. This is 60 Minutes. It's a kind of a magazine for television, which means it has the flexibility and diversity of a magazine adapted to broadcast journalism.
And if this broadcast does what we hope it will do, it will report reality.
But we do think this is sort of a new approach. We realize, of course, that new approaches are not always instantly accepted.
We'll see. I'm Mike Wallace.
We will indeed.
It was on this date, September 24th, 1968.
Talk about an iconic program. And I'm morally safer. And they had all these different people. But, interesting show. And it really kind of caught the big stories of the week, I thought, really well. 60 Minutes, and everybody kind of looked forward to that. It was just a very well done show by.
It was in the top 10 for many years.
Yeah, by journalists there, and there you go. Well, we don't have John with us this morning. We thought we'd have John Politzopoulos, but John, John's working hard. I mean, he's got all kinds of Yanni's gyros going everywhere right now, and I just opened a new one over there at 2815 Concord Road, over there in the Best Buy shopping center in New York. And so that's going hot and heavy. He's got the one over here at the West Manchester Town Center on the west side of town. And that's a 310 Town Center Drive. So he's got that going on. He's got one going on in Hershey, another one going on elsewhere. I mean, John is busy. But I'll tell you what he isn't busy telling you about. You look at the website at yannisgyros.com. That's Yanni's Gyros, you say gyros.com, and you will see a beautiful picture of the Mediterranean. And it talks about Greek dining in the heart of Pennsylvania. And I'm telling you what, when they talk about Greek dining here, they are doing it right. Whether it's in West York, East York, Hershey, wherever it might be, Yanni's Gyros is ready to serve you. And they've got some of the greatest gyros you're ever going to have. Now, just close your eyes for a second and imagine this, okay? And they say, we believe in the simple pleasures of life. Fresh ingredients, honest cooking, a touch of grease. Welcome to Yanni's Gyros. Make yourself at home. Check this out. Now close your eyes. Fresh carved gyros. A traditional, timeless taste of grease. Savor the rich, just carved off the spit, lamb and beef gyro, topped with the fresh crunch of lettuce, plump and juicy tomatoes, and zesty onions, all on a generous bed of homemade tzatziki sauce in a freshly grilled pita. Are you hungry now? Yeah. Or maybe baklava. Or maybe just a great salad. Or maybe you'd like, the chicken on a spit, or you'd like the pork on a spit right there. All of that right there for you at Yanni's Gyros. They are ready to serve you today. And I don't care if you're on the east side or the west side, they are all ready to get it done for you. Why don't you find out about them today? Go to yannisgyros.com. I have all the addresses on there. And also Union Deposit, Hershey. They're located there as well in Harrisburg, if you're in the sound of my voice right now. But they are ready to help you. You can even order online right now throughout central Pennsylvania. Go to Yanni's Gyros right now, and you can see Harrisburg, Linglestown, West York, East York, all around. Yanni's Gyros is the best place for Mediterranean dining. I'm going to be out at the one today at 310 West Town Center Plaza, and I'm going to be at 310 Town Center Drive to make sure that I am having some of the greatest Mediterranean food at lunchtime. Let's see, what should I get? I might get a Hercules gyro today. I just might go off the deep end. But I'm looking forward to being out there. Hope to see you there at Yanni's Gyros. Check them out today at yannisgyros.com/order-online if you want to get DoorDash or pick up Uber Eats, Grubhub. They have it all going on at Yanni's.
So can you imagine the chutzpah it would take for, fraud is a common crime. Right?
Sure, yeah.
People trying to steal your money in all different ways.
Go in every day on your phone, you can see that going on.
Right. But in this particular crime, the chutzpah it would take to attempt to steal money by selling the home of Elvis Presley is kind of shocking, don't you think?
I think, yeah.
Yeah, so what happened to that guy?
A federal judge in Memphis handed down 4 years and 9 months in prison Tuesday to Lisa Janine Finley, who tried to auction off Elvis Presley's iconic Graceland estate. The 54-year-old from Kimberling City, Missouri, pleaded guilty to mail fraud in February. Prosecutors say she fabricated loan documents, posed as multiple people, and published a fake foreclosure notice claiming Lisa Marie Presley had borrowed $3.8 million against the property. Actress Riley Keough, Elvis's granddaughter, sued to block the sale last May, and a judge halted the fraudulent auction. Finley then tried to blame the plot on a Nigerian fraud ring. Michelle Polino, Fox News.
Yeah.
Obviously not a guy, but still, that was...
Well,
takes a lot
here's
of
another excuse. Remember the Coldplay couple?
Yes.
The Jumbotron thing?
Yes.
You and the rest of the world saw a couple having an affair on Coldplay's Jumbotron. And if you thought you saw an affair, shame on you. What? According to a source, ex-astronomer CEO Andy Byron and Kristen Cabot were, quote-unquote, just friends. Quote, Kristen and Andy had an excellent working relationship. Yeah, it looked like it on the picture, but a great friendship. There was no affair. It was inappropriate to be hugging your boss at a concert, and she accepts full responsibility for it, meaning she accepts none, by the way. Whenever someone says they accept full responsibility, I don't know. Anyway, maybe I'm being too tough. But the scandal, the downfall, the loss of the job, all of that is unfair, says the source. But the scandal, the downfall, the loss of the job, the humanity, all of that is unfair.
You know, that's the social media aspect. I mean, we really don't know. I mean, we only know by...
I am sorry. That was not friendly hugging I saw there. He was holding her from behind. Friends don't do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, let's talk baseball.
Go ahead.
Fans now have a chance to see all of Willie Mays memorabilia that will be auctioned off this Saturday at the King Street Warehouse adjacent to Oracle Park. Items include a World Series championship ring, estimated at between $500,000 to $1 million, and the 1954 National League Most Valuable Player Award, estimated to between $250,000 and $500,000. All proceeds will go to his Say Hey Willie Foundation.
Interesting.
And when we come back, Ryan Fox of Houston Fox Financial Advisory Services gets into the markets, the economy. You know, it's interesting. I'm going to ask him a question about, does this growth in the markets really represent all of the markets, or does it represent just a few, like the top 7 or 14%? I'm going to ask him all about that and what that means for the rest of us here in the country as just part of our segment with Ryan Fox next on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. We'll also meet Steve Shetter during the hour and Lynn Bergdahl about a big art display that is coming right here to York. All in the next hour here on the Gary Sutton Show. This hour has been brought to you by YourMedicareSolutions.net. It's 8 o'clock.
York's only local show is back on its new home on York's only local station.
Guess who's back? Back again.
This is the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
I'm back.
Now, broadcasting live from WOYK's downtown York studios inside Wellspan Park, here's Gary Sutton.
And welcome back to the Gary Sutton Show here on WOYK on a Wednesday morning. It is the 24th of September, 2025, brought to you by Barley Snyder, attorneys at law. Over 130 plus attorneys dealing in 29 different areas of law affecting your business, you as an individual, small businesses, large businesses, doesn't matter. Innovative legal solutions is what they have for your business, and they are a law firm for today's business world. Here in York, you can find them at 100 East Market Street. They're open Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., and you can give them a call at 717-846-8888. I'd suggest you check out barley.com, BARLEY.com. They are the presenting sponsor for our show here on WOYK. And this hour, the 8 o'clock hour, brought to you by TES, Total Exterminating Services, trusted, local, family-owned. Steve Shetter and his family and all the people that are helping him right now at TES are making sure they serve York and Lancaster and Hanover with correct kind of pest control. They're locally owned and operated. They are a group which has been in the business. Steve's been in the business for over 50 years. He knows what he's talking about. And whether it's residential, whether it's commercial, they are ready to help control those pests, ants, bugs, bees, wasps, rats, insects of any kind, mice. I'm crawling already. But Steve makes sure that they're not crawling around in your place anymore. Give him a call today at 717-951-3868. That's 717-951-3868. Stephen.Shetter at testpest.com. And you can find out more about them by going to testpest.com. Steve will be with us later on in the hour to talk a little bit about that.
Remind the listeners about the FM thing.
Yeah, the FM is down today, and it will be down until this afternoon. They're working feverishly in fixing that, so we apologize. But you can hear us at 1350 WOYK AM, and you can go to 989WOYK.com to also listen to us. Don't forget also that if you didn't hear it earlier, the Revs won last night. Again, coming from behind. They were down, 3-0 at one point in time in the game. Came back and topped it off in the 8th inning with the lead and then just went on out to beat Lancaster 3-0 in the series. In every game, they were losing. 2-0, 3-0, 3-0, and they won every single game. Take that, Lancaster, okay? So in the Battle of the War of the Roses here, the postseason extension, the Revs putting them out of their misery last night. And finally, I'm going to be in Hanover tonight, accepting on behalf of Kevin Smith and Kindness Worldwide a kindness resolution from the Hanover Borough Council. And may I say to everybody listening out there, if you know of anybody in your area, in your borough, in your town, and people say, well, it's largely symbolic. Might be. Okay, but you know what? Wouldn't it be nice to have symbolic of kindness, something symbolic of kindness? You know, we've seen so many other things lately that have not been kind. And so the idea that we are kind communities, and when we put those kind of things out, those resolutions indicating what our community is all about, we tend to act on them sometimes. And that's one of the things that I'm doing tonight. I'm so proud to be able to accept that on behalf of Kevin this evening. Kindnessworldwide.org. But Hanover is doing that tonight. And may I make a call out to the commissioners of York County to put out a kindness resolution? May I put a call out to all of the various boroughs and townships and other governmental entities to put out a kindness resolution and say we are, dedicated to being kind to each other, trying to be better to each other as people. Is that such a bad thing? Is that corny? Man, if it's corny, sign me up. Okay, I'll be glad to be on that side for corniness, okay? So again, I'll be in Hanover tonight at 7 o'clock at their Borough Council meeting, and very honored to be asked to represent Kevin, who's in Portugal right now. Again, spreading kindness around the world constantly. WOYK News Times 809. We bring in this morning Ryan Fox of Houston Fox Financial Advisory Services. Good morning, Ryan. How are you?
Good, Gary. How are you doing this morning?
I am doing pretty well. Thank you for asking. But, I was looking at something this morning. I was reading a couple articles, and I know you're going to give us a little report on how the market's doing. But one of the things about the market, as I listen to it every day, is that there are like a top 7 that people keep their eyes on. And it seems like these top 7 seem to be making a lot of the money on the market right now. I think I heard today 14% are made by the top 7 on the market. Am I wrong on that? Or tell people a little bit about what the top 7 really means and what's going on with the market right now. Is it really a widespread growth of the market, or is it more there's a few people making a whole lot and a whole bunch not making quite as much?
You know, you have teed up my discussion just absolutely perfectly from that. So today's a good day to ask for a pay raise, because that was really, really good lead-in. Because what I want to talk about a little bit is yesterday, I guess Chair Powell came out and said, the market seems fully valued or highly valued or something like that. And when we look at markets is a very general term. Think of like the term grocery store.
Right.
Well, inside that grocery store, there are thousands and thousands of different things at different prices, some expensive, some cheap, some on sale, things like that. And when we look at the market right now, you are absolutely correct. The market is very concentrated in certain stocks. And here's what I mean. We hear about the Dow Jones Industrial Average. So that's only 30 stocks. But when we hear about the S&P 500, that is 500 stocks.
Right.
Well, how is the S&P 500 put together? It is called market cap weighted, which means they take the share price of a stock times the number of shares outstanding, and they do the math, and that's what you get market weighted. So your big tech stocks like NVIDIA and Apple and Amazon and those types have so many shares outstanding at a high share price, they make up an extraordinarily high amount of the overall S&P 500. So right now, if we look at big tech, and I think that's what Powell was kind of leaning towards because of all the excitement about AI and data and things like that. When we look at the S&P 500 and we buy into it, what we have to understand is we're buying an awful lot concentrated. We're not getting a whole lot of exposure to 493 of those stocks. We're getting most of our return and risk in those top 7. So what I suggest when we look at ETFs and investments right now with clients, we have to make sure we're diversified. What's that mean? Well, when we look at the S&P being market cap weighted, about 35% of that index is in tech stocks, where the top 10 make up 40% of the portfolio. That means the other 490 stocks make up 60%. Well, it means they don't have a whole lot of juice. But if we take an equal weighted approach to the S&P 500, and I like partnering these two together so we get the best of both worlds.
Okay.
What that means is that equal weight takes all those 500 stocks and assigns the same weighting to all 500. So that means if stock number 2 has a bad quarterly earnings report, that's going to drive the overall S&P down. But when we're market cap weighted, that means number 2 has the same value as number 499. It flattens out risk. So they partner well together. So the market's concentrated in those areas. And what we have to look at with portfolio design right now, and Sean and I do this at least monthly, we're looking at the underlying holdings to say, okay, there's 3 different investments we might want to use for clients in this example. Well, 2 of those 3 seem to be just about the same thing. Different names, maybe different companies, different, seem to have a different strategy. But if they all hold the same thing, we're not diversifying. We're actually concentrating risk. So people have to be really careful of that, like in their 401ks and retirement plans right now. A lot of funds are going for the big tech as their core holding. Well, that's great as long as they keep going up. But I was just reading an article this morning. Amazon's basically flat for the year. They haven't really produced much of a return. Well, if we have too much in Amazon and big tech, and that whole segment for some reason sells off, we're going to lose a lot more than what we thought, at least temporarily. So, yeah, the market is very, very concentrated. And I think Powell's comments yesterday saying the market, is highly valued, I think that's incorrect, because there are segments that may be, but there's other areas that are undervalued right now. A lot of big value stocks have low PE. And what he's talking about is this price to earnings ratio, which is a prediction of future earnings and what a company's valuation is. In a period of declining interest rates, that math changes dramatically because lending costs for companies come down. And if all of a sudden they're borrowing at 6% instead of 8%, well, that's a 25% boost potentially to earnings. That changes their valuation. So what he said yesterday could change pretty dramatically. So that almost felt more political than anything, because President Trump likes to talk about all-time high in stock market. He mentioned it earlier this week. It almost seemed like a little bit of a counterpoint from the Fed yesterday that I thought probably didn't need to be said. But nonetheless, markets are pretty concentrated. So that's an awful lot more about portfolio construction than most people probably think about, but I love talking about it, and I'm glad you teed it up for me.
Well, like I said, something I was interested in as I was listening. I thought, well, this is a perfect day to get you on that. Hey, what tip for us for this week? What do you have?
Yeah, it's all about that diversification. So what we have to look at in portfolios is to make sure we are properly diversified.
Right.
Meaning that with all this concentration, so someone has a 401k and they have 6 different mutual funds in it, very common. Let's make sure those 6 funds are all operating differently. And in fact, I looked at one last week, and it wasn't a client, someone who might become a client. And I said, they had a balanced fund and a stock fund. And inside the balanced fund, they owned that stock fund. And I said, we've got to diversify better. And they said, well, I've made a lot of money this year and over the last 2 years. I said, that's great. We want that to continue. But we didn't have exposure to mid-sized stocks and small-sized stocks. So no matter what we're doing from a financial standpoint, we really want to make sure we're diversified. And if we have multiple accounts, one here, one there, we've got to make sure that's coordinated together too. So very, very important, especially in times like this when markets seem to be edging towards a small group of stocks. At some point, we're going to revert, and other areas are going to do well too. So we want to make sure we're diversified.
Brian, making sure you know what's going on, as you explained this morning, it is pretty complicated sometimes. Requires maybe having a financial advisor. You've been my financial advisor for these last 10 or so years, and I have never, ever questioned that. You have always directed me in the right place. But for people out there that maybe are looking for a financial advisor, maybe even looking for your services, tell them a little bit about you and how they can go about maybe getting some questions answered before they even decide about going into that kind of association.
Yeah, so Sean Houston and I are Houston Fox Financial Advisory Service. We are fee-only registered investment advisors. That means we are 100% full-time fiduciaries, and our only compensation comes from our clients, not from products. So we are obligated at all times to operate in our clients' best interest, which is a big, big, big differentiator. But our goal is to answer questions, to partner with our clients, and anyone looking for a second opinion on planning or investments, we welcome their phone call. We're locally owned and operated, answer our own phones and emails. We're not a big corporate entity. So 398-2040. Anyone who wants to call, kick the tires, we're here for them, but we're fee-only fiduciary.
And Ryan, really appreciate you being with us this morning. Again, I've been very happy with that, and I think other people just come and ask the questions about maybe it's a right fit for you, maybe it's not, and Ryan will be very honest about that. So give him a call today. Ryan, thanks so much for a great segment this morning. Really appreciate it. Lots of good information there.
Hey, my pleasure. Thanks, Gary, and good luck in Hanover tonight. Glad you're going over.
Thanks so much, my friend. You take care. Ryan Fox, Houston Fox Financial Advisory Services, right here on the Gary Sutton Show. We'll take a break, and we'll come right back with more right after this. It's 8:18.
And a swing and a drive. Line shot to right and gone. Kyle Martin with a rocket. And the Revs are on the board here in the fourth inning. It's 3-1. Bell, the windup pitch. Swing and a drive in left field. This will send Amaral back onto the track. At the wall it is. Hang on. He crashes. Rev side celebrating. It's gone. Chris Williams with a home run. Onto the hill in left field. And it's 3-2 here in the fifth inning. The 1-1. Swinging a ground ball up the middle. It's a base hit. Base hit center field. Arocho scores. Here comes Martin. He scores. And Shane Fontana with a 2-run single up the middle. Revs lead it 6-3 here in the eighth. Cam will go full wind up. The pitch. He swings, grounds it. Second base. Miller there. He's got it. Throws to first. It's over. The York Revolution win it. They have swept the Stormers in 3. 6-3 the final in game 3. And another late game comeback win. It's on to the final for the 5th time in franchise history.
And we understand that Lancaster has signed up for off-season group counseling because of the way the Revolution beat them in the series. Every single game, the Revolution was losing 2-0 on Saturday, came back to win 6-2. They were losing, and that was in the 6th inning. 3-0 into the 7th inning, into the 8th inning actually on Sunday. They came back to win that one 4-3 in dramatic fashion. Yesterday, losing 3-0 into the 4th, and then ultimately into the 8th inning. They took the lead in the 8th inning, never looked back. And so the Revs walking out with 3 wins, all coming from behind, and they are now in their 5th league championship series, and that will start this weekend. We'll have more about that in upcoming days. But I want to tell you about TES, Total Exterminating Services. I came across them some months ago, and a friend told me about this guy, Steve Shetter, and he said, this guy is really good. He said he has been our exterminator for a while. So I got hold of Steve, and I have signed up with Steve, and I'll tell you what, I have a certain, what would you say, OCD about certain things, and one of them is ants. I can't stand ants. You know, Indiana Jones says snakes. Why did it have to be snakes? Me, it's ants. Why did it have to be ants? Well, the guy that helped get rid of them was Steve Shetter and Total Exterminating Services, and Steve's with us this morning. Hey, Steve, how you doing?
Good morning, Gary. Doing well.
I know you're a Revs fan also, so you're doing especially well today, right?
Yeah, that was very exciting.
There you go. So anyway, we gave you a week off. Now you're back, and just, what's going on this time of year? You know, we talked about all the animals are gathering up right now trying to find some place to be warm, even though it's still a pretty warm time outside. But the cold, it's coming. Tell us a little bit about what's going on in your world right now, in the world of Total Exterminating Services, and what you're getting ready for here with autumn and winter coming up.
Yeah, it's a great time to think about pest control. The winter is going to be coming before we know it. Pests are going to be looking for warmth and shelter to get in. So mice season, not really in full gear yet, but it's something to think about if you've had mice issues in the past. We get a lot of repeat customers that come back and say, yeah, every fall I get the mice that are moving in. So that's something to start thinking about. And also, right now, everything else is still active for about 6-8 weeks yet until the frost hits. Then some insects will be slowing down, but other things like mice will be picking up more.
Steve, whatever got you into this business? How did you ever get involved with pests?
It's a great question. I didn't grow up saying I want to be the king exterminator,
right.
But it's a fascinating business. I love it. I originally got into it in the sales end of the business and just fell in love with it, Gary. It's an interesting job. We're out on the road all day. There's a lot of responsibility, but a lot of freedom with the job also, and then helping people and just meeting new friends and taking care of things and the satisfaction that you give people. It's just something I fell in love with.
Yeah, you and I have been out to dinner. We've been to baseball games together. Steve is a friendly guy to talk to, and I'll tell you, he's listening to you. But residential and commercial pest control, and that's kind of what you're into. You've got over 50 years of experience in this in all different parts of the business, right?
Yeah, I started in sales, Gary, and actually when I started the business up, I was manager, I was director for a large company, and when I started this business up, actually my weakest area was actually doing the work and being a technician. But over the last 10 years, I think I've gotten pretty good at it.
Well, obviously, and a lot of people coming your way to tespest.com. People can give you a call at 717-951-3868 or Stephen.Shetter, Shetter, at testpest.com. Residential and commercial pest control. And Steve is ready to help you in Lancaster, York, and Hanover. They're locally owned and operated. That's what I like about them. Family owned. Steve's giving away 1% of the net profits to local charities. Steve, that's a great thing. And more than 50 years of pest control experience. That's what it's really all about. Plus, you make your programs affordable. I really like that, too. And I signed up for a quarterly program, and I tell you what, I have been nothing short of absolutely satisfied. Have not seen anything of the ants, and looking forward to those quarterly visits regularly now.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Gary. It's probably our biggest program, but we can design anything for anyone based on their needs and wants.
You know, if you could send a message to pests, what would it be?
Make my day.
All right, Clint Eastwood Shetter. There you go. Make my day. Yeah. Did I fire 5 squirts or was it 6? And all this confusion. Yeah. Anyway, Steve Shetter, tespest.com. You can check it out, or Stephen.Shetter at testpest.com. Just a great guy, but more importantly, will do a great job for you in making sure those pests are not getting into your house any time of the year, especially right now heading into fall and winter. Give them a call today at 717-951-3868. Great people to deal with. And Steve, thanks for taking the time. We really enjoy it every Wednesday morning. And by the way, I have not heard anything from the rat. Have you?
No. No, I have not.
I think he may have left the building, don't you?
That's what we're hoping for. Yeah, we'll call him Elvis, and Elvis has left the building.
There you go. Steve Shetter. Check him out at testpest.com. Great to talk to you on a Wednesday, Steve. Have a great rest of the week, my friend.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you. Steve Shetter, a great guy to be around. Just a nonstop smile, and he and his wife and son, I mean, just really neat family. And great to have them on the Gary Sutton Show. They are the sponsors of this hour here on WOYK. We'll get a news update, and then we'll head on back here, and we're going to find out from Lynn Bergdahl about an art exhibit coming to York that's rather famous. And she'll tell you all about that. She is the head of Creative York, and she'll be with us here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. It is 8:30. you don't have to be a star, but it helps every now and then. This is a great song. I love this. Yeah. Welcome back to the Gary Sutton Show here on WOYK on a Wednesday morning where it is 8:34. Who sang this song? I can't quite remember.
It is Marilyn McCoo and Billy Davis Jr.
Yeah, the two from the Fifth Dimension.
After they left, yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
They were married, right? Mm-hmm. The two of them, yeah.
For a time. I don't know if they still are.
Is that right? Yeah, we'll have to find out about that. And, anyway, it's...
I think he died. I think she's still performing, I believe.
Is that right? Yeah. You know what? I did see her recently. She's a little older now, but she still has a pretty good voice.
Aren't we all?
Well, speak for yourself. But anyway, no. But she, but still has a great voice, by the way, and was putting on a really good concert when I saw her. So there you go. Anyway, welcome back to the Gary Sutton Show here on WOYK, and I do want to remind you before we get into our next guest here about the sale coming up this afternoon at 4 p.m. at Thomasville Country Auction, for heaven's sakes. That's exactly right. They've got all kinds of electric equipment, Hess, Faltzcraft, vintage toys, die-cast cars and cases, paperweights and pictures out there galore this afternoon. They have electronic equipment, giveaway glasses, plastic Ville houses. I love those plastic Ville houses, the little ones you have, the toy trains, that kind of thing. Exercise tapes, mid-century wall plaque peacocks, garden flags, decorated eggs, glassware, baskets, miniature Christmas houses. I love those too. Owl candles, alabaster eggs. It goes on and on and on. And all you have to do to find out what's on the sale this afternoon is go to ThomasvilleCountryAuction.com right now, hit auction dates on the blue tab on the lower left side, and then September 24th, hit that, and you will see every item up for bid this afternoon. So when you get out there, you're going to know what you're bidding on. Yeah, you can focus in like we guys do. When we go to the store, we focus in. We're like eagles to the prey. Anyway, if you're thinking about having your own sale, Jack and Cheryl Hooks are the ones to do it for you right now. They're the professional auctioneers in York County, and they are ready to help you. All you have to do is give them a call at 717-764-5403. And whether you're moving or you're downsizing, maybe you have an estate to settle, I don't care what the reason, Jack and Cheryl Hooks are the ones to do the job. They'll answer all your questions, tell you what to expect, what not to expect, and even help you to move the items from your house to their auction house if you desire. And then when they get there, they will set up a sale or sales that will best benefit you and your situation. They did it for me. They can do it for you. Jack and Cheryl Hooks at Thomasville Country Auction. Oh, by the way, if you're selling your real estate, let Cheryl do that for you and save you a lot of headache and a lot of money. Yeah, they can do it all for you. Jack and Cheryl Hooks at Thomasville Country Auction. They have a sale this afternoon at 4 p.m. Tell them Gary Sutton proudly sent you. Route 30 West at the railroad tracks in Thomasville. WOYK News Time is 8:37, and we are joined this morning by the lovely Lynn Bergdahl, who is the head of Creative York, and they have got some special stuff coming up for you right now. We're always trying to keep you track on everything that's happening around York and York County, and Creative York does some wonderful things. And the name Rob Evans comes up, and if you ever heard of Rob Evans and robevansart.org, this guy from Pennsylvania is an outstanding artist, and Lynn wants to tell you all about him this morning. Good morning, Lynn. How are you?
I am great. How are you, Gary?
Lynn, if I were any better today, it'd be Christmas. I'm serious. It's like that every day. But, it's always Christmas, I think, in York because there's always something going on around town. And from October 2nd till November 22nd, you've got a very special display you wanted to tell people about this morning.
Well, I do. And actually, you were talking about stars, and we have 2 stars at Creative York. Currently, we have a 50-year retrospective by Brenda Wintermeyer. Ooh. And she is also a very well-known artist in New York, one of the most accomplished women in New York. And she has over 70 pieces of her art on display right now at Creative York. So that is up through this Saturday. And if people get a chance to stop in to the gallery, they will be amazed at the caliber and the magnitude of what they see. So I just want to mention that.
Right.
Because then next week on October 2nd, we are so honored to open the exhibit by Rob Evans. And this is actually part 2 of his exhibit. Part 1 currently is on display at York College, Whoop Hall, and that opened last Friday. So we will have part 2, which will be the last 25 years of his 50 years of work, and that will be 24 landscapes of York County and the Susquehanna River. So this is the first time that such a large grouping of his major landscape works have been exhibited together in one place. So we are really honored to be doing that.
So for those of you that maybe aren't necessarily art people, but you love the area around here, you love the pictures around here, you love pictures of things in Pennsylvania, Rob Evans, who is a Pennsylvanian, I understand, an outstanding artist. By the way, you can find a lot about him at robevansart.org. That's robevansart.org. And there's a strange painting on the front of that. One of the more interesting paintings I've ever seen of a lady standing there with a little kid. It looks like they're either inside. It's dark at nighttime, and a little child in one of those little pools you sit out in your backyard, and then a light shining in on the dark. It's one of the strangest, most beautiful paintings I think I've ever seen. But this guy has the ability to really capture realism in a way that a lot of us around this area could understand, Lynn, because we love to see landscapes. We love to see our area, and this might be a great way for people to come in and just kind of linger a little bit, right?
No doubt about it. He actually has works in more than 40 major museums across this country, as well as some of his work in Moscow, Russia, New Delhi, India.
Wow.
He's really an international artist who we are so fortunate to have in this community, because with all of that saying, he still lives here in York County. He's lived here for 44 years, and he does a lot for York County. He was one of the founding members of Creative York in 1990.
Wow. I did not know that. But Rob, I tell you, he has a touch. And I was looking through some of his art this morning because I had not seen it all before. I probably saw it and didn't know it at some point in time. For people who have not been to Creative York yet, tell them how they get there, where you're at, and the hours they come in and view this whole display of Rob Evans art.
Well, we are at 10 North Beaver Street. We have the Curling Gallery and the Art Lab there. And the gallery is open on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, Saturday from 10 till 2, basically. And if anyone wants to come at any other time, they can just give us a call, and we're more than happy to meet them as well.
And where could they call you at, Lynn?
They can call us at 717-848-3200.
I'll tell you what, Rob Evans, the display there, and of course, you said Brenda Wintermeyer until Friday, right?
Till Saturday,
Or till Saturday, right. And you can see her artwork. Again, part of the whole mosaic of life, I think, is being able to tell you about all the various things that York has to offer. And art is one of the big things. Right there in the middle of Beaver Street is Creative York. And they are, I won't say you're a best-kept secret because people have known of you and know you've been around for a long time. But you have a lot to offer. And I think for people that have never had a chance to stop and look at art displays, my wife and I do that regularly, by the way. We love taking a look at art. We love buying art from time to time. But this is one that I'm going to make sure I get down to see, Rob Evans art. And I hope you will, too. Creative York, right there in the middle of Beaver Street, right there across from the market, cat-a-corner from the market. And stop down 10 to 2 anytime or give them a call. And again, what's that number one more time, Lynn?
717-848-3200. And also, we have a website at creativeyork.org. And Rob's exhibit will be up through November 22nd. So it gives people a good opportunity to come out and see it.
Oh, that's great. So a long time, October 2nd to November 22nd. Get on out there and see the Rob Evans art collection that's going to be out there. It's going to be, and it's great to see, by the way. I'm looking forward to it. Lynn, thanks for all you do for the community, and thanks for all Creative York does for this town and for the county. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Gary.
Lynn Bergdahl, who is the executive director of Creative York, with us this morning. The Rob Evans art display. And I know some of you are saying, oh, Gary, come on. Art? Yeah, art. It's a really big part of what we do. And if you've never done it before, hey, what's stopping you? Get on down there and check it out, 10 to 2. And some wonderful things to be seen down there at Creative York. We are still here, and we've got other things to look at. Mark, I almost checked out. But
we almost did, yeah. We're a little short for a break, but we can talk about the days. Like today is Kiss Day.
Or as the people on the Coldplay Jumbotron said, we're just friends. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know. They did say that, by the way.
Did they?
Kiss Day. We're not talking about the group. We're talking about the physical act of kissing.
So, according to my AI here,
okay,
it says kissing is not just a romantic gesture.
Oh, really?
It has a fascinating historical, scientific, and cultural aspect that make it a unique form of behavior.
Oh.
Yes, the practice of signing with an X to represent a kiss dates back to the Middle Ages.
Right.
Kissing involves how many muscles, would you say?
Oh my! I would think probably about 5.
See, you could that because you're thinking that you're kissing like the wall, all right? But there's you kind of, like Guy Fieri's hunch.
Yes.
When he does the hunch and he does his shoulders and he kind of
right.
Yeah, it's a little bit more. Kissing involves 146 muscles.
Really?
34.
Should I be working those out?
Apparently.
Oh, okay.
34 facial muscles.
Okay.
But here's the thing: 112 postural muscles.
Oh my God!
So that that's the hunch part.
That sounded dirty. I don't know. But anyway, so good. But I didn't know I was doing that much hard work. Now I feel like I'm working out during the day.
There's more to know. When two people kiss,
yes,
they exchange how much bacteria?
Oh my! I don't know. I guess it depends if you're breathing.
Just pick a number. Something round.
1,000.
10 million to 1 billion bacteria.
Wow.
But here's the thing. It can actually help boost your immune system by exposing each other to new germs.
Well, there you go. So you're building it up.
So
there's a sneaky way of getting a kiss. Say, I want to help you build up your immune system. Come on over here.
It's great, and get a thank you for it as well.
Exactly. Say, I'm only helping you. This is not about me.
Kissing can burn how many calories per minute?
Oh my, good grief!
And then they qualify.
I'm going to say 300.
6.4.
6.4 calories.
It says yes, but a passionate kiss can burn up to 20 calories per minute.
No tongues. Okay. No.
It depends on how long, a kissing session goes.
Yes.
But the longest recorded kiss.
If you said to someone, want to do a workout, there you go.
Exactly.
Little length in time.
You're really taking this information and running with it.
A visionary.
Yeah. The longest recorded kiss lasted how long? You don't have to be exact. Just pick hours. How many hours?
100.
31. Well, you're bad at this.
I don't have any conceptual.
Right. I get it.
I have no parameters.
I would be the same way, I think.
Yeah.
31 hours, 30 minutes, and 30 seconds. It was set by a couple in London, of all places, in 2005. Not that actually
imagine
matters.
the teeth.
Now, in a 2013 competition in Thailand, a couple set the Guinness World Record for the longest continuous kiss, and there you were a little bit closer. 58 hours, 35 minutes, and 58 seconds. Can you imagine yourself doing that?
But you know what? What's the first word you would say after that? My boo. Yeah, exactly right. The swollen lips.
I get rock.
So anyway, there
That
it
was
is.
good.
Not bad.
Anyway, when we come back,
go ahead.
How about we do the rest of the days, and we have a few stories we can clean up.
Sure. Exactly. Right.
And another. This is the time of the year when the new TV shows, back in the old days, used to premiere. And it was a real favorite early. It was on for a few years, but everybody remembers the theme.
And we'll also, if we have time, try to tell you a little bit about what happened to somebody who ordered some murder supplies through DoorDash. It didn't end well. All here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
exciting and new. Come aboard. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, the Love Boat.
This is the disco version.
Yeah, Jack Jones sang that. The neat thing would be every week you'd have a different star on there, and that's what to me that was the hook.
Were they stars?
Well, a lot of them were has-beens,
Yes.
but a lot of them were also people who were on TV at that time or had been in a movie, and they were readily identifiable. And it was just it was simple little things that they went through. I mean, like
typical stories,
but they were not. But yet they were fun. They were fun. You could go on a cruise, even if you didn't really go on a cruise. Gavin McLeod, of course, the captain, and
well, back then a lot of people didn't go on cruises.
No, they didn't, and so this was a way of kind of doing that. Bernie Capel, who was excellent. Who was the other guy? Fred
Grandy became a congressman.
Became a congressman, yeah, later on.
Which says all you need to know.
There you go.
And Ted Lang, the bartender.
Yeah, Ted Lang was pretty good.
Now, here's the thing, though. I guess maybe it wasn't a bad idea that we had, like people from 60s TV shows that had lost their show.
Right.
And then they had somewhere to go. So you could check up on him like, oh, wow, he looks
That's right,
like
there they are.
He's aged okay, or, oh, maybe he hasn't aged all right.
Lauren Lewis, of course, the director. But
Lauren Tews.
Or Tews, what did I say? Lewis Tews.
Apparently she was rough to work with from what I remember reading back at the time.
So it wasn't a love boat for her.
Well, everybody has their own personalities, and it is a entertainment product.
Well, that's true. Okay. Anyway, welcome back to the Gary Sutton Show here on WOYK.
Now, don't forget, we have the other days of the today.
Go
is
ahead.
Also National Bluebird of Happiness Day.
Yeah, which for me is every day.
Is it?
It is.
Yeah, I can hear it in your voice.
Oh, yeah. Duh.
It is National Punctuation Day.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned for the semicolon. It's getting, you say, what about your colon? Not the colon inside you, but
yes.
But the semicolon, we don't seem to use that much anymore. No one quite knows what it's for. I think it's gone the way of the penny.
I think if you read a book, you might find one.
Maybe.
Yes. I like to
First of all, reading a book, how many people still do that? But yeah.
I like I believe it's called the ellipsis, where you do the ... rather than like when I'm sending texts, I just, I go, hey you, ...
Yeah.
What are you up to? ...
I saw semicolons was number 12 on the list of
kidding.
breakdown of punctuation. Commas was number 1.
Obviously.
55% use those, 10% really do. Contractions, number 2 at 49%. Question marks, 3 at 39%. But semicolons was last at 11%. I rest my case.
Food holiday?
Yeah, food holiday. Go ahead.
National Horchata Day, which is I'm going to say Hispanic drink, I guess.
Yeah, I want to try
Hispanic
that.
word.
That sounds decent to me.
The
cinnamon rice?
Yes, the Mexican version is ground rice.
Ground rice.
With milk and cinnamon. It sounds like maybe, what do they call it? A rice pudding shake.
There you go. Okay.
And the other food holiday, National Cherries Jubilee Day.
Yes. And that does sound lovely,
Delicious.
by the way. Yes. So you have that going for you today. So what else do you have? You had a couple other things you wanted to hit before you
I do.
I
Yes,
had the
don't
stupid
forget.
criminal one.
Yes, go.
Wanted to hit this one. Same-day delivery services are convenient for food,
right?
Last-minute toilet paper restocking, or inflatable unicorns for spontaneous pool parties. But they're not ideal for procuring murder supplies. On Monday morning, a DoorDash driver alerted police after making a very strange delivery to a motel in Sweetwater, Texas. The complete list of items hasn't been released, but word has it that the delivery included trash bags, zip ties, bleach, a hatchet, and more.
Oh, my.
That's fairly obvious. At least try to disguise it by adding a unicorn pool float. Come on. Police say a 42-year-old man named Neil Cooper placed an order on DoorDash for these kidnapping/murder tools. When the cops showed up at the hotel room that he had, or motel room rather, Neil refused to leave and warned officers that he was armed. The cops forced their way in and found a hostage inside. The hostage was rescued, but was later arrested on an outstanding warrant. So the hostage wasn't exactly Lily White here either. There's no word on their identity, but it sounds like the warrant was drug-related. Really? Neal was arrested for aggravated kidnapping, and there may be additional charges. It's unclear what he planned to do with the victim, but clearly it looks like it could have been a bad situation. A lot of people praise the driver for acting after seeing the red flags. Others aren't sure. One person commented, quote, "I'm glad it worked out for the best this time, but do you really want your DoorDash driver deciding your order is suspicious and calling the cops? I want to tell that driver, you don't get paid to think, you get paid to deliver things." That's out of Big Country / Bro Bible. 100% true.
That sounds weird, yeah.
No, it does.
Yeah, some other stories that we probably don't have time for, but check this one out. We'll hear a piece of it.
Nightmare bacteria are resistant to the drugs that should fight them, and a new report from CDC scientists finds nightmare bacteria infections rose by nearly 70% between 2019 and 2023.
Think about that. It's named the nightmare bacteria.
Hello? Yeah, is that not exactly a Chamber of Commerce title, is it? No. So we have that. So anyway, you're heading to the Ryder Cup, which starts that starts on Friday, right? But they're heading up the starting stuff to today because the rain's coming tomorrow.
Yeah, the weather is supposed to be really bad tomorrow. That's what we have tickets for. But they're moving some of the bigger things like the opening ceremonies, they're moving them to this afternoon. So instead of leaving this afternoon, we're going to leave soon, and hopefully we make their time to watch. History being made.
Ryan Lewis will be sitting in for you tomorrow. Revs into the championship series now this weekend. We'll tell you more about that tomorrow too. We'll probably trying to try to get Daryl in here at some point in time. And Ryan Lewis will be sitting in for Mark tomorrow. Looking forward to having him aboard here as well. Got a great show coming up tomorrow too, as always. And thanks for listening today. Thanks for taking part. I'm Gary Sutton. This is the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK, where it is 9 o'clock.